I see a lot of videos, people who talk about using their iPad as their main computer. I've done this myself for the last year, 12 months or so. I thought I'd bring my thoughts here on YouTube, kind of give some thoughts about this. I've been pretty happy with the experience, a few things that I want to change, or maybe I have to get used to. And this video will contain all my experience with the iPad for roughly a year. All right, let's dive right in. Maybe you're wondering if you should use an iPad over here, which is all I have now with me for your work or actually for your personal computer. I use this myself. I'm a trader, so I travel and trade. I'm very often in hotels, so I need to have something that's more portable for traveling. And for the past few years, I've been using a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro was my go-to. Works really well. I mean, it's super powerful. All the stuff works fine in this. I still have a M1 Pro MacBook Pro from a few years back, and it works fine for like my home stuff. But even now, these days, I don't really use it that much. I think the iPad for me works for all the things I need to do with it. And let's dive into a bit of how this works out. First things first is I use the browser for almost everything I do with the iPad. So Safari is my go-to browser, works out quite well for what I want to do. But most of what I use, all the apps, all the websites are all in the browser there. I don't have much apps on my iPad. These are only apps that don't have a website that I have on my iPad that I use a lot. And because all the stuff that I do, like all the charts, all the trading stuff, all the work stuff is pretty much better on the browser. I mean, just like, for example, TradingView, which is one of the very popular trading apps. The iPad version is basically like just the iOS version. So you have the normal phone kind of trading app here. It works out cool. Like it's really nice, really, really good looking, but you don't have a lot of features that you have on the browser. And it's kind of a mess to scroll at the bottom between like different things and stuff. I actually just go here on the browser. It's pretty much the same thing as a computer. So I have all my charts here, all the stuff that I do, all the trades I take. They're all here on the browser, which is a lot easier to use. It works out exactly the same as you would on any other Mac computer. And that just makes things a lot better. I mean, so many examples of these apps. Google is a good example too. Google Drive or Google Doc works a lot better on the browser than an app. So I don't have the app at all. Just makes things much better and much more simple to use. The other thing that's very important is that I always have State Manager on my iPad. State Manager is the way you use multitasking. So you can have a split view, which is kind of fine too. But Stage Manager allows you to have multiple windows and kind of use it as a normal desktop environment. So I can just open different things like this and kind of go through it. And yeah, it just makes it a good experience for multitasking if I want to do multiple things at the same time. On a separate monitor, which I use a lot at home, I plug my iPad to my monitor. I can have Stage Manager on and use it properly like a desktop. And even though it's not perfect and not as good as a Mac, to me, it kind of gets the job done. It's good enough for almost everything I want to do. All right, I'll give you a few tips here in a second about how to use the iPad better, things I learned over the years, actually the last year or so with my iPad full time. But one first thing is I want to say that the cellular data on an iPad is really a game changer. I can just show up to a cafe. I don't have to worry about the Wi-Fi. I can just show up wherever I want to work and kind of get to work. I don't have to wait for the right kind of signal to show up with the Wi-Fi. Sometimes the Wi-Fi doesn't work well or something, or they have the wrong password or something. I don't have to deal with that stuff. I just go to a cafe, connect to my 5G data here in Thailand. I'm in Thailand, by the way, if you didn't know. But even when traveling, I just buy an eSIM, put it in the iPad for a couple of days, and then it's running just fine. Like good data. It's usually a lot faster than even Wi-Fi. It gives you a lot of flexibility, but also kind of just, you spend less time on stuff that you don't have to spend time on. And that just makes life a lot better. If the Mac had this, I would definitely get it for sure. But they don't, so yeah, of course. All right, now here are a couple of tips that I'm really passionate about on using the iPad. Things that I think you will like, things that will make a big difference, settings that I sometimes turn on and just makes my life a lot better on the iPad. First things first, I'm opening up here the settings. And first thing I want to show you is, right, you go into general and then you go to the trackpad section over here. Now I have a magic keyboard in it, so that's why I'm able to use the trackpad. It works really well that way. But you got to turn off your tracking speed to the maximum. Like this, like I think by default is somewhere around here. This is way too slow. This is like really lagging behind. I know this on a Mac, it's a lot faster by default. I mean, the normal one is much, much faster, even though it's still in the middle. But on the iPad, it's very slow. Like I cannot imagine working on this. You gotta pull all the way like from one side to the next. It's crazy. Put this maximum, it'll work a lot better. It's just a lot faster and you kind of get used to it, but it's pretty much the same as a computer, in my opinion. That makes a huge difference. Right, next setting you gotta turn off. Now I put it back here because I turned this off a while ago, but it's a big difference. So by default, when you have your pointer here, your cursor, your mouse, whatever you want to call it, it kind of sticks to the different element in the UI. And that just slows you down a lot. You can see I go to my icons here, kind of stick to it. I mean, this wouldn't happen on the normal Mac or on normal computers. It just kind of slows you down a lot and kind of wastes your time a lot. So what you do for this, you're tired of having the the trackpad stick to stuff is you go to your accessibility settings. So it's on accessibility here in the settings. And then you choose the pointer control. A lot of settings here you can change. What I changed is this one over here called pointer animation. Turn this off. And now you see when you go in the dock and we go to different icons, it doesn't stick to anything. You just kind of move freely and you don't have a lot of time wasted with like moving it from one icon to the next and kind of sticking and losing it. This is making my life a lot better. And it's a small thing, but I mean, for me, it makes a big difference. While we're here, you also have the pointer. You can change the size. I keep mine to the smaller size, but I do add a specific color around it. So a white circle. So this will make it where it's kind of highlighted around it. Very small, but still the white kind of helps with the background to see it better sometimes. And have it more of like a real mouse. Because sometimes the mouse, you have like a thing around it, makes it easier to see it. That makes my life a lot better. Next thing is going to be to learn some keyboard shortcuts. And these can make a big difference in how fast you work on the iPad. Sometimes people are kind of complaining about the iPads, that it's slow and not the same as the Mac, or you have a lot of workaround to do. And sometimes a lot of things that you don't learn the right shortcut to do it. One of the ones that make a big difference is Command Space, opening the search bar over here. There's a name for this, I forgot the name, but you can basically go from there and then search for any app. So I can just type in this here, then I can enter to open the app. Very fast to open apps that way. You don't have to go through like the home screen or go to the apps and stuff, and that's just a waste of time. So you can do it much faster by having some keyboard shortcuts in your personal library. Next one, if you have multiple windows open like over here, you can do Command Tab, and you'll be able to change between the windows. So here are my settings, I was there before. Here I've got my Notion, here I've got my Safari, Command Tab. Then you press on Tab more often to change apps. So Command Tab, then you tab again to change more and go to the next item. So you have my email, kids in front, Messenger and stuff, and that just makes it better. Or also a home screen. Speaking of home screen, quick way to just kind of make things a lot faster here is if you do Command H, you get straight back to the home screen. Yeah, so kind of a fast way to go back to the home screen. Also, if you're in Safari, this saves me a lot of time. If you're opening a new tab, just do Command T, and the new tab will open straight away like this. If you, by mistake, are on a website, let's say I'm going to be here on, let's say I'm going to be on YouTube, and then I close this tab by mistake. I want to be able to get it back, reopen it. I'll do Command Shift and T, and the tab will reopen like this. Also, if you want to see a list of the whole keyboard shortcut for different apps, just hold command button on your keyboard, and you see all the shortcuts here on the list. There's a lot of them. You can learn them. These make a big difference. For example, show bookmark, hide bookmark, edit bookmark, add. These make a big difference. So a lot of stuff you can play with and learn from there. I mean, it's kind of what I want to share in this first video on my iPad update and how I use my iPad as my main computer. I do everything in the browser, works well. Apps are kind of hit or miss sometimes. Some apps are really good, some apps completely suck. It depends what you like and depends what field you're into. But yeah, any questions, make sure you comment below with your questions. I'll maybe do more videos in this in the future. I mean, will I switch back to a Mac? Probably no in the next few years. I'm going to stick to this. I currently have a M4 iPad Pro, a 13-inch, so a big one. And it works out for all I want to do with it. If you have any experience with using an iPad as your main computer, comment below and hear your thoughts too, what you liked, what you didn't like about it, and how we can make things better perhaps. If you have any tips, I want to hear them below too. If you want to see how I trade with my iPad, check out this video here next. It goes to all the platforms I use, all the apps I use too for my trading, and things that make it a lot better. And I'll catch you in a few seconds in that video over here.